Let's continue that coverage of the deadly avalanche in the Tahoe area. This happened yesterday at Palisades Tahoe Ski Resort near the top of the KT-22 ski lift on the left side of the mountain. The debris field is about 150 feet wide, 450 feet long, and 10 feet deep. ABC 10's Bridget Biorlo is joining us from the resort this morning. So Bridget, what are fellow skiers saying about what happened?
Bria, they're saying this deadly avalanche was a tragic loss for the entire ski and snowboard community. 4 people were buried in the snow here at Palisades Tahoe. This is a world famous ski resort, best known for the 1960 Winter Olympics. And sadly, one person, a snowboarder, a 66-year-old man, Kenneth Kidd, died. It was a scary scene for everyone involved when it happened at 9:30 yesterday morning. 30 minutes after the KT-22 chairlift opened for the season. These were the first riders to take advantage of this expert ski slope. And as you see on your screen here, everyone is pitching in to help. It was a hands-on deck effort. They were using their snowboards, their skis, their sticks to physically dig people out of the snow, which they became trapped in not long after it happened. Teams with the Placer County Sheriff's Office and other agencies were there conducting search and rescue operations of their own. Just so terrifying for everyone who witnessed what happened and the aftermath. We spoke with some skiers and snowboarders after the fact who told us what happened. Take a listen.
We were going up into the lift line, and then somebody yelled avalanche, and then they said we're shutting down right now, and we were just looking around going, what the heck happened? So it's kind of scary, to think about, like, if we'd gotten in a little bit earlier, that could have been us, or, it's pretty dramatic. I'm actually over here for a bachelor party of mine, so it's a pretty sobering, time.
A bachelor party he will never forget, and that's what we're hearing a lot out here, that life is just so fragile and you're always taking a risk whenever you experience some of these more expert level ski slopes in one of the greatest winter wonderlands of the world, Lake Tahoe. This is the biggest ski resort in this area. Now, in addition to the one death, there was another reported injury. 2 other people escaped unharmed after they were dug out of the several feet of snow. They said they couldn't pull themselves out because the snow was just far too heavy. It was weighing them down. So grateful clearly for the Good Samaritans who jumped in to help. But I want to pull in Rob here for a moment because, Rob, a lot of people wondering how this avalanche even happened. This area was ruled safe, which is why the slope opened in the first place. But when you get all that fresh powder, the conditions can be a little unexpected. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. And, before I get into this, I'm just going to tell you what we know. There's going to be a whole analysis by the experts in this field as they really get into how this happened. But let me just tell you something. Anytime you're in the mountains and there's recent snow and wind, you're going to have avalanche conditions. Now, they can vary from being relatively stable to extremely unstable, where we were yesterday. From the experts, we were right in the middle, so there was some risk, but it wasn't necessarily high. And just to point out the dangers of avalanches, folks, this is like right in the middle of the resort, okay? This is KT-22. This is on the lift. This is from a forum where people who were there are talking about it, sharing video images. And this is the purported crown of where this happened. So essentially, this is where the crack is, and then everything below this slid down. This is not beginner terrain. This is not intermediate. This is steep. KT-22 is basically from the base to the top. It is extremely steep. It is extremely famous because of the terrain, but this happened directly underneath the lift. Now, the kind of snow we've been dealing with lately is this really light, dry, fluffy snow. So even though there hasn't been that much moisture lately, it's been stacking up. When it's really heavy and wet, it looks like this. It's very dense, it's clumpy, but lately it's been this kind of snow, light, dry, fluffy, really stacking up very heavily on top of a layer that is relatively weak. So again, officially from the experts, the Sierra Avalanche Center, they considered yesterday, which was Wednesday, considerable. On the scale, that's right in the middle. You have much higher levels and you have lower levels. The way you get to the higher levels is much more snow and a whole lot of wind. But the problem is that this is just the recent day of conditions. You have to consider the season that we've had so far. This image is from a database all across the West looking at persistent weak layers. So this is up in Canada, also dealing with the same thing. What you're looking at is digging snow pits, and you can literally go back in time and see how these layers are interacting with each other. And what they found all across the West is with the cycle that we've had, really warm, wet for a period, dry, long periods with very cold weather, in between, they have noticed what they call a persistent weak layer. That's when the nature of the snow changes. Instead of big fat flakes, they almost come together like big flat pancakes. They call it facets, and that makes a weak layer. So anything on top of that is heavy, and that's a weak layer that could slide at any moment. So as the experts get into the conditions exactly there, they're looking for things like this to try and figure out exactly what happened. Back to you.
Rob, some great perspective. It really gives us a sense of what exactly happened here. So if you can visit, or you can visit abc10.com to get the latest on the avalanche at Palisades Tahoe. Anything new that comes up will be, of course, to let you know.